Okay, let's just dive right into this. Today we're looking at an incredibly chaotic and frankly heavily disputed narrative exploring the dark underbelly of Los Angeles real estate. We're unpacking a collection of deeply personal, highly charged source documents that read, well, they kind of read like a modern noir thriller. We're going to navigate this fierce property dispute, sweeping accusations of systemic fraud, and a really blistering critique of California's current housing policies. So, let's get into the explainer.
Right off the bat, the source material completely shatters the illusion of the modern California housing dream with this visceral quote, "a Band-Aid on a bullet wound." The authors are essentially arguing that these quick-fix solutions pushed by state and local governments, they're completely failing to address the deep, systemic wounds in the housing market. Instead of creating genuine affordable housing, they claim we are witnessing this massive, opportunistic land grab disguised as progressive urban planning. It's intense. Let's see exactly where this perspective comes from.
Section 1. The Echo Park Dispute, a microcosm of chaos.
We start our journey down at the micro level, focusing on Echo Park residents Eric and Delijba. Now, their gutted house, literally stripped of its fixtures and these beautiful 100-year-old Japanese shoji doors, serves as ground zero for a dizzying array of allegations. The source outlines what they describe as a coordinated attack by property flippers, specifically designed to drive down property values. We're talking claims of filing false police reports to disparage the neighborhood, using illegal quitclaim deeds, and even hiring proxy contractors with revoked licenses. It paints a picture of a neighborhood under absolute siege.
45. Think about that for a second. The source claims that over 45 properties have been targeted in the Echo Park area alone. According to the documents, this isn't just some isolated incident, but a massive, systemic scheme involving 1031 tax-deferred exchanges and a really interconnected network of players. The author even goes so far as to allege ties to unverified religious organizations, claiming a coordinated effort to manipulate local real estate and silence any opposition. Honestly, if this is true, it suggests a conspiracy running way deeper than just a few bad actors. And, this wasn't an overnight operation. According to the author, the seeds of this alleged premeditated plot were planted way back in November 2016. By March 2019, the text alleged there were deliberate attempts to commit appraisal fraud by withholding property taxes to manipulate assessments. Things escalate drastically into 2020 with some pretty wild accusations of kickbacks being paid to local police. And all of this culminates in relentless, continuous eviction attempts by 2022 and 2023. The source vividly describes the psychological toll here, noting it actually drove the residents into therapy after their home was physically gutted. Okay, moving on to Section 2, the law of adverse possession, fighting back with sweat equity.
So, facing a bureaucratic system that basically seemed weaponized against them, our subjects turned to a legal rebellion to fight back. They invoked a very old and frankly deeply misunderstood legal doctrine, adverse possession. The absolutely crucial point here is how the source defines this, not as theft, no way, but as an act of walking the strict letter of the law to achieve justice. The narrator explains that to successfully claim adverse possession, you literally cannot break the law, you have to follow it perfectly. By proving open, notorious, continuous, and exclusive possession and doing things like paying the taxes, the text argues a brand new, unencumbered fee simple title is created. It's fascinating.
You can see this stark contrast right here. On one side, you have a heavily disputed paper title, allegedly encumbered by fraud, illegal quitclaims, and multi-pledged loans. But on the other side, the literal sweat equity poured into the earth. The authors state they invested over $300,000 in personal funds, plus equal amounts in intense manual labor just to restore the property. They completely transformed a landslide-prone, fungus-ridden yard into a biodiverse oasis. We're talking California native plants, bobcats, fire salamanders, the whole shebang. To the narrator, this deep, physical connection to the land holds way more moral and legal weight than a highly contested piece of paper.
Section 3. The ADU phenomenon, the macro crisis.
Zooming out for a minute, the source text transitioned from this very personal grievance to a blistering societal critique, examining how this alleged greed plays out on a massive scale through accessory dwelling units, or ADUs. The source aggressively attacks them, using this really powerful phrase, the Trojan horse of gentrification. The text just doesn't hold back at all, basically calling the ADU boom a cancer on the very soul of your neighborhood. While proponents champion them as these great affordable housing solutions, the narrator sees them purely as a mechanism for developers to squeeze every ounce of value out of the land, ultimately displacing the working class.
There is a massive, massive gulf between the slick,
eco-friendly narratives sold by politicians, and the gritty, profit-driven reality detailed in these texts. The promised dream of affordable housing, keeping aging family close, or creating sustainable urban infill. It's framed here as pure greenwashing. The stated reality, according to the author, is just a landscape of cheaply built prefab boxes designed as cash grabs to double rental income. Instead of sustainability, it results in transient renters and turns once cohesive communities into fragmented investment portfolios.
Section 4. Infrastructure and community impact. The domino effect.
Cramming more bodies into these really small spaces allegedly triggers this cascade of neighborhood decay, a true domino effect. It begins with step 1, the backyard build itself. Step 2 brings the cars. Because ADUs rarely come with dedicated parking, the streets quickly choke with overcrowded vehicles. Then step 3 hits the hidden infrastructure. The text warns of overwhelmed sewers, maxed out water supplies, and totally strained public schools. Finally, step 4 is the ultimate loss of community. Long-term locals just flee the noise and the density, and they get replaced by transient renters who really have no long-term stake in the neighborhood. It's a bleak picture.
Section 5. Unmasking the narrative, media and the political smokescreen.
So this brings us all the way out to the meta level. Who really benefits from this narrative? The author doesn't just blame local developers here, they take direct aim at the politicians who allegedly push this pro-density agenda. The text claims politicians absolutely love ADUs because, well, it makes them look proactive about the housing crisis without actually doing the hard work. They pass the buck to homeowners, they collect all those permit fees, and they totally avoid challenging the powerful developer lobbies. Meanwhile, the real systemic issues like wage stagnation and corporate land hoarding, they just go entirely ignored.
Channeling this sort of avant-garde, almost William S. Burroughs-esque critique, the source claims the establishment media just disguises pure profiteering behind a shiny veneer of progressive urban planning. The text literally invokes writers like Burroughs and Hunter S. Thompson, describing the modern news cycle and data streams as a digital cage, peddling illusions of sustainability. The author argues that mainstream media is fully complicit in this. They wrap lies in layers of plausibility, keeping the public docile with the illusion of freedom, while their neighborhoods are quite literally bought and sold out from under them to protect corporate interests.
So what does this all mean for us? Whether you see the Echo Park dispute as just a localized feud or a glaring symptom of a much larger, darker, systemic rot, the source material today really demands that we question the narratives we're being sold. It challenges you to look beyond the surface of your own neighborhood. Is the California housing dream an orchestrated illusion? And what is the true cost of modern urban development? Are ADUs a genuine housing solution or just a calculated cash grab? Is a paper title absolute, or does sweat equity hold the true claim to the land? Keep asking those hard questions, and I'll see you in the next explainer.